Picture a London street in September 1665. On every third door, a painted red cross roughly the span of your outstretched hand. Above it, the words, "Lord, have mercy upon us." Behind each marked door, an entire household sealed inside, the sick, the healthy, and the terrified. Nails driven into the door frame. A watchman posted outside. No one leaves for weeks. This was not panic. This was policy. But why? London's official plague orders described the procedure with bureaucratic precision. When plague appeared in a home, the house was shut for 40 days. Red cross on the door. Watchmen stationed to prevent escape. The infected and the uninfected confined together, breathing the same air. To modern eyes, this looks like a death sentence imposed on the healthy. But the officials who wrote these orders were working from the best medical understanding of their century. The question is what that understanding was, and where it went catastrophically wrong. The dominant theory of disease in 1665 was miasma theory. Physicians believed illness traveled through poisoned air, foul vapors rising from rotting matter and the breath of the sick. If plague was in the air, then containment meant trapping the air. Seal the house. Let the miasma settle within closed walls. The healthy inside might survive once the dangerous air cleared. The cross warned neighbors to stay clear. Fires burned in the streets to purify the atmosphere. People pressed herbs to their noses, believing strong smells would repel the poison. Everything made sense within the framework. But the framework was wrong. The actual killer was a bacterium now called Yersinia pestis. It did not travel through bad air. It moved inside the gut of the rat flea. When an infected rat died, its fleas fled the cooling body and searched for a new host. The nearest warm body was often human. The bacterium multiplied until it blocked the flea's gut so completely that the starving insect regurgitated infected blood into every bite. No one suspected this. Not the physicians, not the parish officials, not the watchmen outside the sealed doors. The flea had no interest in quarantine. It crossed rooms, climbed between bodies, moved from rats nesting in walls to humans sleeping on straw. Shutting the house did not contain poisoned air. It concentrated the vectors. Here is the cruelest dimension of the policy. The quarantine followed a rational, defensible logic. Contain the bad air. Protect the wider city. But because the pathogen traveled by flea, sealing a household ensured that every uninfected person inside would be exposed to every insect that had fed on the first victim. The intended cure and the actual cause occupied the same room. And the red cross on the door warned the street about a danger that could travel through shared walls, on the bodies of rats that were never locked inside at all. London's death toll in 1665 approached 100,000 in a city of roughly 460,000. Public resistance eventually eroded the policy. People bribed watchmen, broke out through windows, and officials quietly stopped enforcing the shutdowns. But the deeper lesson outlived the epidemic. Every public health measure is only as reliable as the disease model behind it. When the model is fundamentally mistaken, even the most disciplined response can multiply the harm it was designed to prevent. But consider their position. The officials who nailed those doors shut were not reckless. They acted on consensus science. They enforced it with consistency. They believed they were saving the city. Behind every red cross in September 1665 were people who understood exactly what was happening. They heard the watchmen outside. They watched family members sicken one by one. They sat in rooms they could not leave, breathing air they were told was poisoned, bitten by creatures they never thought to fear. The history of medicine is not a smooth arc from darkness into light. It is a record of intelligent people acting on incomplete pictures of the world, and sometimes paying for those gaps with everything they had. The crosses faded. The doors were opened. The question of how to protect the many without condemning the few remains, even now, not fully answered.